When J.P. Morgan died on March 31st, 1913, he didn't just leave behind a fortune estimated at over $68 million. He left behind a legacy that reshaped America's financial system, its industrial backbone, its cultural institutions, and perhaps most visibly, its architecture. Born in 1837 into a powerful Anglo-American banking family, John Pierpont Morgan never had to claw his way to the top. His father, Junius Spencer Morgan, operated from London and ensured young J.P. was privately educated in Switzerland before grooming him in European finance. From the start, he wielded privilege like a torch, never flamboyantly, but always with force. Morgan made his fortune the old-fashioned way, by reimagining the modern economy. In the 1870s, he and senior partner Anthony Drexel took control of the federal securities market. In the 1880s, he reorganized ailing railroads. Then came the industrial consolidations: General Electric, AT&T, US Steel. Presidents sought his help in crises. When the US gold reserve collapsed in 1895, Grover Cleveland turned not to Congress, but to Morgan. In the 1907 financial panic, it was Morgan who stabilized the markets, effectively acting as America's central bank before one officially existed. With his strong family credentials, Morgan did not have to scramble or act slyly in his business ventures. He was known in the world of finance as a trustworthy hard worker and hard driver. He did not harbour a nouveau riche weakness for a trendy address. In fact, the Morgans were one of the rare New York families of means to move south rather than north of Manhattan in the early 1880s. Formerly at 6 East 40th Street in 1880, they purchased a larger house, a brownstone at the northeast corner of Madison Avenue and East 36th Street, for $215,000. Construction began in 1853 and was completed 3 years later. The house was one of 3 brownstones erected by members of the copper firm Phelps, Dodge and Company. The family moved in during the summer of 1882. In addition to this house, Morgan also owned Cragston, a 700-acre estate at Highland Falls on the west side of the Hudson River. Morgan married twice. The first ended tragically, and the second faded into a relationship of accommodation. Amelia Sturgis, his first wife, was not well when Morgan proposed, but he insisted, despite her deteriorating condition, that they marry. The wedding took place in 1861. A few months later, she died of consumption. In 1865, he married Frances Louise Tracy, who, with her 4 children, survived him. Fanny, as she was known, did not share his addiction to art. Their home life reflected this divide. It wasn't a mansion built to impress debutantes. Although they did entertain, the Morgans did not try to compete with the Astors, Vanderbilts or Martins socially. It was a fortress, solid, quiet, dignified. The Italianate facade with its rusticated base, bracketed cornices and subdued ornamentation spoke volumes. This was not Newport. This was not Fifth Avenue. This was J.P. Morgan's world, reserved, powerful and deeply insulated. The interior followed suit: American white oak wainscoting, finely carved balustrades and a staircase that rose beneath bare Edison bulbs, one of the first homes in New York to feature electric lighting. After meeting Edison in 1881, Morgan had a dynamo installed in his stables. The system was so advanced it was dangerous. At one point, a short circuit set his desk and carpet ablaze, but Morgan didn't flinch. He believed in the future, even if it burned a little. He also believed in solitude. Stories of the increasingly taciturn J.P. playing solitaire at his own parties contributed to his national reputation as a dark, brooding sphinx. Morgan preferred a cigar, a brandy, and a game of solitaire. At his own parties, he was often seen in a corner, ignoring the crowd, cards in hand. He didn't socialize to climb. He didn't need to. Instead, he poured his soul into art. He spent over $60 million on paintings, manuscripts, rare books, and antiquities. He famously bought Raphael's Madonna with saints for $500,000, a staggering sum at the time. As president of the board of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, many assumed he'd will his collection to the Met. But Morgan had other plans. In 1906, he commissioned McKim, Mead and White to build the Morgan Library just steps from his home. Inspired by Renaissance palazzos, the library was a sacred vault of culture, with marble walls, coffered ceilings and golden archways. It was a space not just for preservation, but for reverence. By 1928, an annex was built connecting the Brownstone to the library, uniting the public archive with the private man. And yet, despite all this wealth and power, Morgan remained curiously elusive. His life carried a strange tension between progress and danger, public service and private sorrow, monumental legacy and intimate silence. Today, the Morgan Library and Museum stands as a monument to that paradox. It tells a story not only of industry and empire, but of one man's refusal to conform to the rules of either society or style. He didn't live to be adored. He lived to endure. You can still feel his presence here, at the Morgan Library. Here, in this space, Morgan becomes more than a financier. He becomes an oracle of order, a collector of civilization, a man who tried to tame chaos with curation. And that's the irony of J.P. Morgan. He dominated the Gilded Age, yet he never chased its glitz. Today, the Morgan Library is open to the public on most days. There you can find collections as rare as the original Gutenberg Bible, original handwritten music by Beethoven, Mozart and Chopin, and sketches and drawings by the Renaissance greats. His collections are perhaps his greatest contribution, a legacy of humanity's greatest works, a living ghost, if you will. If you enjoyed exploring the legacy of J.P. Morgan, the architecture and the incredible collection he left behind, don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell, so you never miss a deep dive into the homes, secrets, scandals and even the occasional ghost story of America's most fascinating figures.